Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another prediction video. Delighted to welcome JP back onto the show. JP, we've got 5 fixtures this weekend, this Friday I should say, and that's a little bit unusual. It doesn't happen too often, does it? Not of late.
No, I think you probably have to go back prior to Europe. They've seen that happen maybe.
Yeah, yeah. No, just checking the scores here as well, actually. So just to let people know, in the prediction league, JP won by 6 points to two this week. His correct score was actually Galway United beating Shelbourne 1-0. I went for 1-1 in that game, but 144, 139 to me, JP. It's pretty well close, isn't it?
There's I. It's tell you what, we scored quite well to be honest. So we have.
Yeah, I'm happy enough. It's nearly as exciting as the real title race that's going on there at the moment, but we'll obviously get into that. And Drogheda United and Derry City at Weavers Park. I'll let you go pick this one up first, but look, Drogheda have a very decent home record, particularly the second part of the season. Derry's away record has probably hampered them a little bit, hasn't it, JP, in comparison to their home record? But am I right in saying the last time they played here was 2-2?
Aye, it was. Derry were 2-1 up at half time in that game. Patchen, I think, was at the double that night. Or sorry, no, Mickey Duffy now Patchen with the wonder goal. Um, I think Derry's away form has picked up slightly. In the second half of the season, but probably needs to be better over the course of the last. I think this is one of three left away from home. So if they can maybe start with a 3 point in this game,
Yeah.
and like the home form, you would expect them probably to maintain it, but this is probably looking at the fixtures. This is probably going to be the toughest of well, the Pats in there as well near the end, but um.
And
It's
the Pats have
definitely
been easy for Derry this season, so.
yeah. Well, there's that like, but we not know what's at stake by the time that comes around.
Yeah.
Right now, we know stake between Derry and Drogheda. So Derry will be looking. They look after the Rovers game last week. Roy told us all they remain calm and just take it one game at a time, and I think that's what you basically have to do. And the next game's Drogheda. I'm not sure the last time we maybe won down there. Um, could have been last season. I'm not sure, but it's a very notoriously difficult venue for Derry to go to. So look, the last time, sorry, the last time we played down there was 2-2. We were playing quite well in the first half, despite going down 1-0 early on. We just sort of retreated in the second half, and that allowed Drogheda to get back in there. But I think the last time we met in the Brandywell was a good performance from Derry. 1-5-1 could have been a bit more.
Mm.
So yeah, they'll be looking for a wee bit more of that in this game. And I think it's just basically forget the last 30 games. It's all about the next 6 games.
Yeah, it's
And
into the
if Derry,
sprint now, isn't it?
it's you would maybe wonder was the stick that Rory has taken between the start of the season to now is you'd maybe wonder was this his plan all along was they just get to the last 30 games and see where we are, or sorry, the last 6 games and see where we are then in the sprint. And um it'll be interesting to see how he approaches this game because you've seen how well they played against Shelbourne in the cup when it was a one-off game, and he just there he went for it and absolutely bossed the game from start to finish. Be interesting to see now how he approaches the next 6, starting with Drogheda. A difficult, definitely a difficult venue because Drogheda will have Bohemians in their sights, and they'll know that this is an opportunity for them to pick up points. And like Drogheda, they're in the semi-final of the FAI Cup as well, so they're not a bad side, and as we know they are, and they probably are where we expected them to be. But they're still hanging in there, fighting to avoid that relegation playoff spot.
What score are you going for?
I think there'll be goals in it. It just depends. like yeah, I think I've probably said this a few times. It just depends what Derry City turn up, isn't it? If it's a Derry City turned up against Shelbourne, I, I can see us winning the game. If it's and I think that's the way we played the first half in Drogheda earlier in the season. But as the second half went on, Derry sort of retreated back into their shell a wee bit, and that's when Drogheda got the equaliser. Um, if we get to Derry City that played the first half against Drogheda earlier in the season at Weavers Park, Derry could win this game quite comfortably. They've won the two Brandywell game, the last Brandywell game quite comfortably. They were hanging on a wee bit in the other game. I think was it Ryan Brennan missed a penalty at 1-0 in that game too
That
earlier
was
in
the
the
opening
season.
game of the season, was it?
It was, yeah. So um look, I don't think it'll be a high scoring game, but I think there'll be goals in it, and I think Derry will nick it 2-1. At this stage of game, at this stage of season, Derry are just looking, look, we've probably got one shot at this. We need to make the most of it. We need to keep the pressure on Shelbourne. It's time now to start the sprint, as you said earlier. And I think Derry will they win it 2-1. I think Derry will win 2-1.
Yeah, as you were saying, it is a tricky one because Drogheda, like they're 5 points ahead of Dundalk, and they kind of have bows in their sights, but it's a delicate position. But I'm sure they're looking up rather than what I mean, thinking of Dundalk. If I'm honest, they're probably thinking, and the motivation their dressing room clearly is going to be, look, we can still put pressure. Let's try and put as much pressure on Bohemians. We obviously have forced them to get results almost like, and if they don't, maybe we can catch them. As you say, it is a
Only
difficult
thing is,
venue generally for Derry. Hmm?
sorry, the only thing is for for Drogheda on Friday night is Bohemians are away at Dundalk, so it it's a tricky one for like you don't know how that one's is it a region at the first
Like,
home
what are you
game since
hoping for? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, from their point of view, they're probably hoping for a win and hoping not to draw. Really, I suppose that's the ideal scenario for them, isn't it? Though that's, but I
like
don't.
in the middle just
That's a tricky one. But I think it's a difficult one as well. I just think if Derry are going to push on and win the league, they're probably going to have to win maybe one or two of their away games. And Drogheda are definitely a better side than they were earlier on in the season, particularly in well, all those games really, aren't they? They're a different team than they were first day of the season, etc., etc., and 5-1 and that, and they are tough at home. But I think Derry might nick it as well. I was thinking 2-1 as well personally, so I'm gonna stick with 2-1, but I'm not totally confident either, JP. But then
no
again, I'm not very confident in any of these scorelines, to be honest with you. I never
neither
am.
am I.
No.
Like Drogheda could so easily go and do what Galway did and beat Derry
Yeah,
with a
yeah.
a goal off a set piece,
Mm.
and it could very easily end in a like it's
It wouldn't
just
shock me or surprise me at all if Drogheda went and
yeah,
won the game.
exactly. I'm the same. I'm going 2-1 Derry just basically because I think they'll know they've got to this point now. They're still in it,
Mm.
and this is a point now where they need to start winning.
Yeah.
If they're going to win the league, and I just think they're. But it would not shock me if they didn't win it either. But just because of how difficult a team that Drogheda are,
Mm.
they come up against.
Absolutely. I'll go 2-1 Derry City as well. And we'll go to Dundalk, as you spoke there. Dundalk taking Bows, and that's another huge game. And I do genuinely think, regardless what happens in Drogheda, for Dundalk, I think this has to be a last chance saloon. And I know there's a couple of games left, etc., etc., but you don't see them winning more than two games, at all out of those games. And to be honest, the way the Bows are playing at the moment, if they don't beat Bows at home, I think they're doomed, regardless of what happens in Drogheda. To be
Look,
honest with you, that's the way I see it.
After
I think that's it for them if they don't win this game,
after Bowes, they've Galway away, Derry at home, Shamrock Rovers at home, Drogheda away.
and they're probably
You
gone by
know,
Drogheda away. If do you get
yeah,
me? Like exactly.
yeah.
So I think they have to like they really. We talk about must win games, and maybe sometimes we can exaggerate it a bit, but this is a must win. Absolutely a must win for Dundalk and for Bowls. It's squeaky bum time if they were to lose the game. Even if Drogheda were to draw against Derry or something, it's still a bit worrying for Bowls. Like 2 wins in 19 games for Bowls in the league. That's nowhere near good enough. That's poor.
That's
That
second
that has to
material.
be yeah, that has to be. I haven't looked at everyone else in the last 19 games, and you can pick, why 19 games, but like, you know what I mean? I'd say that's probably bottom of the table, to be honest with you. I'd say that's below Dundalk in the last 19 games.
Well,
I'd imagine.
I'm looking at the last. I'm just on flash score here, and I'm looking at the last the form in the last 20.
Mm,
Bows are bottom.
there you go.
Bows are bottom, 17 points from 20. Drogheda, 18 points from 20.
Mm,
Dundalk, 19 points from 20. And then there's a gap end to St. Pat's here in 27.
there
So
you go.
the bottom three are
The
the
tree.
bottom three.
Mm,
Like, you know,
mm,
and Bows are in the worst form over the last 20 games. Like, like,
mm,
we, we break it down to 15 and they're only a point better off in Dundalk.
mm.
The last 10, they're still in the bottom two, like, you know, so
And again, like
yeah.
I don't know what I think about this game either because they did beat Bowes earlier on the season 2-0, but like John Daly's come out and said basically he's gone at the end of the season. Now I would have expected that by the way, but the fact that he's
Yeah.
come out publicly and said it and it just adds to the chaos a little bit. And the
It's
players are trying. They are trying hard. You've seen them in the last number of games. They've been beaten narrowly in a lot of their games, haven't they, recently? So they're trying. You
a bit
can't. I
disappointing.
wouldn't worry about them.
It's a bit disappointing for John Daly to do that, like,
Little
because
bit, I
the
think.
new owner has come in.
Mm,
He's, as he said in his own words,
mm,
what he's done is he's staved off the execution for now.
mm,
Um, and what he did do then was he didn't immediately put the club on the scarp or the
mm.
business on the scarp, because the reason he did that was because he wants to give the players a fighting chance. He
Yeah.
said the minute he puts that the business on the scarp,
I
the
don't
players,
think John Daly needed to say that publicly, to be honest
the
with you.
players, like, the new owner has come in and he said everything positive. I'm
Mm,
going to give you a chance. If I put the business on the scarp, your season's over. Blah blah blah.
mm.
John Daly just goes and drops a bombshell that he's not going to be there next season.
And
How many
we would know
players are
that
going to be
kind
there?
of, but we'd also be under we'd know that most of the players wouldn't be there either. But I don't think
Yeah,
there's a time and a place, maybe just go when the season ends and that's it, like, but I don't think there's a need to say that now. It also puts the fans a little bit, you know what I mean? Not against John Daly, but just not maybe totally with him either, if that makes sense. You know
no.
what I mean?
No.
So
Yeah, like, look, the fans will they'll not care who the manager is as long as they've still got a club, because this time last week it wasn't looking pretty for them.
mm,
So but they will definitely turn up on their numbers, I think, on Friday night and try and create a bit of an atmosphere. They they get behind the team and hopefully push them on, like, and they'll be looking at that Drogheda game and thinking, well, you know what, Derry's going for the league. Yeah, Derry are a bit of up and down this season, but you know, if Derry can win that and we can maybe win this game against Bows, we're back in it against Drogheda, and you know, it would, even when you look at their next 4 or 5 games, they'll be looking to do what we've been saying about Derry. Derry looking to get Shelbourne to the Brandywell with it all in their hands. What Dundalk are probably looking at, they probably want to get to that last game of the season, going to Drogheda, winner takes all
yeah,
basically,
give them a
and
chance.
and this is probably their last opportunity to do that. When you look at their fixtures, look, as I say, the league has been so unpredictable this year that they could go to Galway and win. They could beat Shamrock Rovers, or you know, so. But they'll be looking at this game as the opportunity, because of who Drogheda are playing the same night,
Mm.
an opportunity to close the gap.
Yeah, I mean, Bowes, like their issues for me. I don't know. I'll be honest. I'm not sure. Reynolds is a good coach. I'm not sure if he's a great manager, but it's not just that. They don't have a centre forward of any note. I mean, you know, as I said before, you'd like a striker who scored 20 goals. No one has that really as such in the league, but they don't have a striker of any note. And they rely on maybe Tierney and Rooney pretty much to chip in with the goals, etc. But it's a big miss for them up front. I don't think they don't have a striker that would get in any team in the league, and I'd include Dundalk in that, to be honest. Honestly, I would. I don't think they do, and it's been a serious issue. So, in one sense, I'm saying that I'm not sure if Reynolds is the right man, but in another sense, they haven't got a centre forward, so it's hard to kind of grasp that, and I'm not sure what I think in reality there. But he probably will be given next season, providing they stay up, of course. But
Yeah.
I know it's a difficult one to judge here, I think, but I think Bowes might get something out of it. I'll go for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, when we talk about teams needing major surgery, the Wolves are definitely in that category.
Mm,
Um, Probably a couple of years of I wouldn't say mismanagement, but poor recruitment has left them in this position, and Reynolds is probably kind of picking up the pieces, and he's probably earmarked one or two players that he'll want for next season. But again, it's probably dependent on what division they're in, because let's be honest, they're not out of the woods yet. And look, they're still in the cup. Um, if they're going to win the cup, they'll be in Europe and they'll have that opportunity. They have an even bigger budget, but um, like as I say, Dundalk and Bohs are probably the two teams
Mm,
that are going to need major surgery. Bohs or Dundalk are probably likely going to be in the first division, so it's going to be reduced budget, probably new structures, etc. Um, well, we hope they're going to be in the first division at least anyway. Like so,
yeah,
um,
exactly.
but this is going to be again a tough one to call. I think wasn't it they played? I'm just looking head to head here.
Mm,
Dundalk have beat them, Bohs have beaten, and there's been a draw as well. So,
mm,
um, I'm going to go another draw. I'm going to say
mm.
2-2.
Oh, you're going for a higher scoreline than me. Shelbourne Sligo Rovers at Talca Park on Friday, and this is a massive week for Shelbourne, even if you avoid talking about Derry and Shamrock Rovers as such, where obviously they've back-to-back home games, don't they, on Friday and Monday, but Sligo is obviously the big one's the next one, and talked about how Shelbourne, they're not playing well to any degree, to be honest, and a lot of the issues have been. Look, there's people talk about a lot of the issues, haven't they? Malloy and Jarvis, probably a weaker squad than they had after the summer window. But also, I always felt they'd run out of steam somewhat, and also the fact that a lot of teams recently have been letting them have the ball, and they don't really like that when they have to try and break down teams. Now, as for Sligo, like it's amazing, but young McElroy's come in there at centre back. He's only a young lad, and he's made a few mistakes, but he has potential too, but the organisation of that defence has really gone downhill since Panakar's left the club. It really has. Like from an
Yeah.
organisational point of view, watching them there, and they've conceded a lot of goals lately, and they beat Dundalk 2-1 at the showgrounds, but Dundalk scored and they could have scored another goal or two due to defensive errors mainly. Made a lot of errors, obviously, in the 4-0 defeat against Shamrock Rovers, and obviously the 7, wasn't it 7? 7-0 defeat against Drogheda United. So,
Yeah, that was.
like, this could be a good game for Shelbourne, you know what I mean, in terms of if they're going to get back to some sort of form, that Sligo might be a good game for them, or Sligo could just go there and roll them over, yourself. This is
Sligo
the
won the
thing.
last two against them.
What?
Sligo's
Yeah.
Sligo's won the last two.
And
They
they beat
beat
them
them
at
in the
Talca,
league,
didn't they, as well?
beat them at Bolton, and then beat them in
Yeah. The showgrounds.
Showgrounds a few weeks
Mm.
ago. Like so,
I don't know. How have you
um,
seen it?
a tough one to call basically because we've seen Damon Duff coming out now in the last week or so and saying that he's 6 games to go and he's trying to find his best formation and
Doesn't he seem a little bit almost reserved, more so than he has been all season, though? A little bit.
yeah,
He's a bit
because if
tempered
he'd
back
been
or something. There's not as much
yeah.
fighting spirit in him, or
uh,
this isn't good enough, angry stuff. It's just light for
no,
you.
it's yeah, whatever's got on them, like, and
Hmm.
maybe he thinks if he stays calm, his players will stay calm, and maybe it'll work that way. But
Hmm.
I don't know. Like,
Maybe he's
obviously
unsure
the loss,
himself. Who knows?
yeah, I think the loss of Gavin Malloy, we thought wouldn't it wouldn't. We didn't think it would affect them too much, but I think the loss of Harry Wood has probably been a bigger
Or
loss
Will
because.
Jarvis. Will Jarvis.
Or
Yeah.
sorry, Will Jarvis. Sorry, Will Jarvis. He's been a bigger loss because in the tight games, he
Yeah.
was the one that was getting the vital goals. So maybe he was getting the goal to get them in front, or he was scoring a last minute winner. Um,
Just
yeah, the
generally been
goal
a
to get them
threat as
back.
well. Like he was the one player you
Goal to
looked
get
at.
them. Yep, he was putting opposition defense under pressure. Um, and they just haven't had that since he was recalled at Hull. Um, look, I never seen them in person at the Brandywell, but they just didn't look like the Shelbourne that have been playing since February. They just look like a dejected Shelbourne.
Mm.
And like they're top of the league. They're 3 points in front.
Probably a
Six games to go.
combination of things. Mental fatigue sometimes comes into it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Maybe a bit of pressure
yeah,
too.
yeah. And like I think it was Brian Kerr said the other night that or it was Brian Kerr or Ian Morris said sometimes it's better to chase than it is to lead. And
Depends who
it
you
could
are,
work.
doesn't it? If
Yeah,
it's Shamrock
it could
Rovers
work.
leading, let's say, it's a different kettle of
Yeah,
fish.
yeah. But I mean, like I think they were talking in the context of Derry and Shelbourne.
Yeah.
So it was Brian Kerr said it was probably better to chase than lead,
Mm,
especially when you're two teams that have never been in this position before. Sligo are the informed team in the league.
mm,
Over the last 10 games, they've 21 points, three more than Derry, and five more than Shelbourne. So
mm.
like they've definitely been a turnaround. But as you say, the loss of Pineacker seems to be affecting them because there's no leadership or anything in there. Um, and I don't think Shelbourne score enough goals. And I think that again has been alluded to by the pundits. Um, and even though Sligo are struggling defensively, just don't think Shelbourne score enough goals that even if they did score one, Sligo would always still be in it because I think Sligo have more of a threat with Ellis Chapman and stuff. They um then maybe what
Mm.
was it who they beat 1-0 the other week, Shelbourne? Dundalk. Dundalk.
Sligo Rovers, you
They,
mean? Yeah. Yeah, to beat
no,
Dundalk 2-1, yeah.
I mean no, but the last game Shelbourne won was
Oh,
Dundalk.
sorry, yeah, you're right. That was 1-0 in Dundalk and kind of
So
fortunate win
uh,
too.
yeah, and I think if Shelbourne was to go front against Sligo, you'd always maybe be confident that Sligo would maybe be able to pull it back.
Mm.
Um, I think I'm going to call a draw on this one, so I'm going to go 1-0.
Oh, no. Guess what I was gonna go. Oh, for God's sake. Yeah, because I tell you why I was gonna go 1-1 because I'm struggling to see Shelbourne score 2 goals at the moment, and I do think
Likewise.
I do think Sligo are gonna score. This is the bleeding problem. Um, I don't know. It's a massive. It really is a massive game for Shelbourne. It doesn't matter what happens elsewhere, but because then they have another big game Monday, to be honest. But in a sense, as I said before, that Sligo do have these performances sometimes where just simply don't turn up. But I
Mm,
feel like Shelbourne have to hope for that, though. Do you know what
mm,
I mean? That's the
mm.
problem. They're not
Yeah, then go
constructing anything themselves that they're going
yeah.
to come out and put some kind of stunning display. So they have to hope maybe they grind a 1-0 win or something. But even if Sligo don't play well, like you mentioned there, Ellis Chapman, 9 goals this season. You've Simon Powers capable of scoring goals. You've got Fitzgerald. You've got Warrawoo. They've got threats. They can score goals even if they don't defend well. But even if they don't defend well, Shelbourne aren't constructing enough going forward at the moment. And now could turn around on Friday. If they win, it'd be huge for them. But I'm going to go for also 1-0 draw.
I think when you look like if Shelbourne don't win this game, their next two after that is St. Pat's and Shamrock Rovers. Like, and
Yeah, the way
if
they're
they don't
playing, like,
win, if they don't win this Sligo game, you would
mm.
you would maybe doubt that they're going to go on and win
It's
the
not just
league.
that. If they
If
don't win the Sligo game, it puts them under huge pressure going into Monday against an
yeah,
informed Pat side as well. So it's almost vital they win, but I personally don't think they will. I think it'll be 1-1 draw. Waterford FC take on Galway United in the race for Europe at the RSC. Waterford haven't beaten Galway this season, and they struggled to deal with them last year as well in the first division. Galway have had 2 wins at home, but it was a 0-0 draw at the RSC. And Galway United are the team that are in fourth at the moment. If we take it, that fourth may get you into Europe at the moment. They're almost like the leaders of that mini pack, and they've had some very good results the last few weeks, and the 4 points at home to Shells and away to Drogheda is a very good 4 points. Waterford are struggling though, aren't they? They're struggling. They're
yeah,
struggling badly lately. They've won a couple of games, but it's kind of like a win lose lose type scenario for them. And although I still think the 3-0 at Pats wasn't as bad as the results suggested, but they were still quite sloppy defensively in that game, and they are going to have to improve if they're going to get anything for Galway. But it's a game that if they could beat Galway, like it puts them in an excellent position too. So In fact, it puts them level with Galway, doesn't it? Yeah, level with Galway behind a goal difference. But it's a must not lose, I would suggest, for Waterford because if they lose, obviously then
Yeah,
they're 6 points behind Galway, and then maybe Sligo get a result, or maybe Pats get a result, or whatever.
yeah.
Like so they can't lose the game, but they can't play it like that. They have to play and try and
No,
play from
yeah.
football, go back to the way they were trying to play. But it is going to be difficult for them because Galway, and people probably hate us saying it if you're a Galway fan, but they are. They're dogged, they're physical, they're very dangerous in set pieces, and like that's their strength. Your strength is your
Yeah,
strength. You shouldn't be
yeah. You
insulted
play
by
to your strengths. You
because
always
someone
play to your
commenting on your
strengths.
strengths. Exactly. And they can play football as well, but generally, like even the match against Drogheda, I mean, Patrick Hickey, I mean, you can practice all week and do all you like on him, but like if he's going to win the ball, he's going to win the ball. It's as simple as that. You
Or
can't
you can work on Ed McCarthy's long throws, like you,
not give away throw-ins somehow. Work on not giving away throw-ins.
do a Bose Myhill and put the ball out for a
Yeah,
corner, like he did
exactly. Yeah, you'd really rather give
Hull
away.
against Stoke all years ago. He kicked the ball out for a corner instead. Yeah, so
um,
I think I think we know who Galway and Waterford probably want to win the FA Cup, because they'll probably um
and Sligo Rovers and potentially St. Pat's, JP.
yeah, um because you're looking at especially Galway and Waterford. They
Yeah.
came off from a first division. They probably never expected themselves. They had gone into the last 5, 6 games with an opportunity of qualifying for Europe. And then they look at the cup and they see Shamrock Rovers go out early. Then they see Shelbourne and Derry get drawn against one another. Then that leaves one team in the last four. Um, so they're pro. Look, for one of them, they'll just want to finish fourth, and see what happens in the cup. But I think what they'll definitely want anyway is Derry to beat Bows, because if Derry lose the Bows, then that's fourth place gone
Wouldn't it
before
be
the end
so
of the season.
unlucky if, for the first time in a few years anyway, if Galway or Waterford finished fourth and they can qualify for Europe?
2012 was the last time that happened.
Was it
Derry,
2012? Fake.
Derry, Derry beat Pats to win the cup, and Shamrock Rovers never qualified for Europe.
That's mad, actually, isn't it?
It is. It just shows you how accustomed we've come to saying the top four,
Yeah,
when it's
like every
really only
year
the
you're
top
nearly
three.
saying at the start of the season, fourth will get you Europe, you see,
Yeah,
in your head.
yeah, because you're always confident that um the cup winners is going to come in the top three, but then you see Shamrock Rovers get drawn against Bows in the first round.
Oh, that's crazy.
And we know what type of team Bows have been in the Dublin Derbies this year.
Mm.
And as I said there about Derry and Shelbourne getting drawn in the quarterfinal. So, um, yeah, but anyway, back to this game. Waterford, I say, like you touched on it there, they have to approach this game with the right mentality, not approach it with a must not lose, because you do that, then you don't play to your strengths. You probably play the opposition's strengths, and you play into their hands. So, and I think, look, I was just looking at the form here, but these two teams over the last couple of seasons. I think Galway have won three of the last four,
Mm.
including going back to last season.
Mm.
Um, and they're unbeaten in five, I think.
Mm.
I think they're unbeaten in five in
Probably
that
just
that
harder
run.
to beat, though. You know what I mean? They've lost 9 games and Waterford lost 14. So they're just harder to
Yeah,
beat.
yeah,
I don't
and
know. You know what? I'm going to. I don't know. No logic whatsoever apart from a feeling. I just have a sense Waterford might pinch this 1-0, and that would make it very interesting if they did.
yeah, as you say, like Waterford are not at the best of form. Galway are hard to beat. They almost got a point against Shamrock Rovers.
Mm.
I'm going to say 1-1.
The first different
I think
one we've
that's
had.
three draws. I think that's three draws I've gone for.
You've gone for 3 draws.
Yeah.
I'm usually the draw man, but anyway. Shamrock Rovers and St. Patrick's Day, Tallaght Stadium, and funnily enough, Pats have actually taken 7 points off Rovers this season, believe it or not. 2 wins at Richmond Park and a draw in Tallaght. In general, as in the last, I don't know, you'd say 5 or 6 weeks, both teams are probably the two teams that are in form in the league. It's a really big game for both clubs because Pats are kind of they're in the European race, but they're the underdogs in the European race at the moment. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
A win here would put them firmly in, like, if we're talking about top four again, a win here would put them in a great position to actually do that. For Shamrock Rovers, if they could win this match, regardless of the results elsewhere, it really, for me, puts them bang in the title hunt if they can win this match against an informed side too. And it's a difficult one to predict, I think, as well. Shamrock Rovers, they're in a better state now than have been all season, I would suggest as well. How are you seeing it?
I think in the title hunt, I think what could hinder Shamrock Rovers is the fact they're still in Europe.
It's
If
no
they won
surprise
this,
they've
like,
got their good results in the last few weeks, isn't it? When no
yeah, when they've had a
distractions.
bit of a break, yeah, when they've had a bit of a break, but from the cup and Europe.
Mm,
But I saw them last week, the Brandywell. They're still the best, for me, still the best team in the league. The way they move the ball,
mm,
they don't panic. I think
mm,
for 20, 25 minutes, Derry had them pinned in at the start. They didn't panic. They just kept playing it out from the back.
mm.
Um, and then they got their goal, a great counter-attack and goal.
They
And
still have the best
that's what they
squad of
do.
players, I would suggest, but that's kind of
Oh,
irrelevant at the
yeah,
moment.
yeah, they definitely do. They
Mm,
definitely do. And
mm.
um, I think Brian Kerr touched on it in Virgin Media on Monday night, and he said they were debating the infamous penalty decision last week. They were debating that, and Brian Kerr turned around and says, "Well, let me tell you, if they don't win the league, it's not because of one penalty decision at the Brandywell.
Oh no.
It's because they've lost too many matches, and they were far too inconsistent. Even when Derry and Shelbourne, Derry have been inconsistent. Shelbourne have been they were consistent for the first part of the
No,
season.
I
There's
don't
been
think any team can ever look at one particular game anyway, or two. It's over the course of the
no,
season, and no one knows
yeah,
better than that than Shamrock Rovers, to be honest.
yeah.
So,
And I think when Derry and Shelbourne were being inconsistent, Shamrock Rovers were being inconsistent as well. I don't know whether maybe during the summer if they were focusing on getting that group stage in Europe and they took their eye off the ball
there's
in
a
the
lot more
league.
injuries as well, though. You'd have to say their injury
Yeah,
table is relaxed, hasn't it, in the last number of weeks?
yeah. And you can see it gradually coming together for them.
Mm.
And
Jack Byrne's
when,
starting to play consistently well now, isn't he, as well? And obviously with Johnny
when
Kenny
when
and
I look at their European fixtures, I'm looking at them thinking there's at least 3 wins in there for them. Out of the six, there's at least you maybe target TNS and Larne as
mm,
two potential victories for them, and then maybe one more somewhere else.
mm.
So
I thought batter
if
Chelsea anyway, so.
I hope so. But no, but again, this is a hard game to call. All 5 games are, and I would say between now and the end of the season, it's going to be hard to call them. If this game was at Richmond Park, I'd probably send some Pats to win it. You
Mm,
said their Pats have taken 7 points off Rovers this year, which
mm.
is a very good stat, and I wish
It's a
Derry
big
could
test for
could take.
Pats as well in terms of eyeing up next season a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Playing a team of
but
Shamrock
not only
Rovers are
that,
gunning for the title, playing better. Like Pats could send a mini statement as well potentially.
they could, and not only that, but if some Pats were to win this, it opens up the third place again
Mm. Oh yeah, it does
because
actually.
as we say, like if Derry don't win the cup, then you're hoping for third place for
Mm.
Europe. Um, and obviously, I hope Derry do win the cup, and the league. But
No.
we'll see. We'll see what happens over the course of the season. But look, you take for example, Pats win this game. They're only 4 points behind Shamrock Rovers, who are in third place,
And
and
they'd have
then
a game in
Rovers start.
hand, wouldn't they?
They would do,
Mm. Which would be
and
Monday,
then Rovers.
obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Rovers start the European campaign next week, so they do, and then go to Shelbourne on the Sunday. So, um, it's a big game. Did you say Rovers win? They're banging the title race. St. Pat's win, as I say, it opens up third place, and if maybe Shamrock Rovers are maybe looking over their shoulder rather than up. And it just shows you that one result can change the whole complexity of your season. And is it me calling this?
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to say 2-1 Shamrock Rovers.
Really? Flipping it. Yeah,
Yeah,
2-1 Shamrock Rovers. Yeah.
yeah.
I just think they'll just do enough. I think it's a massive, massive game for them. They feel like they have to win. I think it could be a very good game though, a very good open game, but I'm gonna go 2-1 Shamrock Rovers as well. We leave it there, JP. I think time's about to run out.
Cheers,
So
Keith.
thanks for coming on. Thanks for watching, guys. Les, give us a few predictions in the comments. Just don't pick the same as ours. Thanks very much.